G'day, hobbyists. Anthony from AOS Coach here, bringing you the next episode of the best series on the whole of YouTube. It is the Road to CanCon 2019, and I'm here with a bunch of special guests. I will not introduce them. You know who I am. But coming back from weeks and weeks of torture and pain, but he's back for more. We have Mitch. Mitch, how you going, mate?
Great. That was a weird way to say that. I'm doing pretty good, man. I've learned a lot about my army in a couple of games, so that's really good because I didn't want to find out the hard way at CanCon.
Awesome. So we've got Mitch back on the stream. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other people jumping on, but we've also got two people who are making their debut. So I'm going to pass it over to the master of terrain making, the Lord of Sylvaneth. We have Travis Cooper on the line. Hey, Trav.
I don't know about Lord of Sylvaneth, but yeah, I can occasionally build a piece of terrain when I'm asked to. Yep. So, hey, everybody. Travis here. I sort of actually snuck in last week, but had some technical difficulties. So basically just sat there in silence. But this week, you'll actually be able to hear me. So that'll be good.
And that was awesome because Travis is the master and guru who's looking after all the technical support for the Australian Master Stream next weekend. Awesome that, Trav. We got it all sorted. We're in a good spot, aren't we?
Yeah, no, it's looking good. Got everything sorted now. Just one more thing I have to pick up during the week, but other than that, we are good to go.
Awesome. And the man who needs no introduction, the Herald of War, tooting his way to competitive glory, we have Clint Mallet. How are you, mate?
I don't know about tooting. I don't know if that's a verb that I really want to mention in the same sentence as me. I'm good, though. I'm good. I was good until that.
I've thrown him off with the toots, even though it is one of the two icons on your heraldry.
I don't know if it toots, though. It's a bit more majestic than that. So
what's the sound that if you're going to make a sound and the war cry of the Australian competitive scene from your tutor, and it doesn't toot, how does it sound?
I'm not at liberty to say.
All right. This sounds like something that you need to see in a live opportunity.
Definitely. I can only do it in person. I can't do it on camera. So.
All right. It sounds a bit odd. Cool. So, so we're having a bit of a joke that, and also a bit of a reality check that it is 9 weeks to go. We are almost there. It's almost December, which means it's almost less than 2 months, which means, holy shit, the biggest event in Age of Sigmar history to date in the world is going to be happening in Canberra, the nation's capital. And how are we feeling, guys? Are we feeling prepared or what?
I haven't base coded anything yet, so...
I'm not. I can only give a noise as an answer, which is ah, and that's like, about it.
Oh, I'm so excited!
No. There's lots of prep to go because it's quite a large event, and yeah. But I'm getting there, getting through it. But then you went 9 weeks, and I went maybe not as quickly as I'd like.
I did see some of the awesome terrain that you're making for the event. I'm sure we're going to have more and more of that to fill the boards.
Mm-hmm.
And Trav, are you helping with terrain, or how are you going with prep?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I've got so I'm doing some tables anyway for masters and stuff, so they'll be there as well. And I also have so all the like the what do you call them, top layer board things. So basically a thin layer to go over the top so that we don't just play on B or MDF. So taking into account the ones I did last year and the battle mats and stuff that are coming, it looks like I need to make another, 20 something odd of those. So, but that's not too big a deal. So knock that over in December, hopefully.
Awesome. And funnily enough, we're doing our intros, and another man who needs no introduction has just logged in from, I think it's Moree, Australia. Who have we got here, buddy?
You're pronouncing it wrong, Magro.
Moree,
Australia.
Mate, I'm from Glen Innes. So
G'day, gamers.
How's it going?
Well, indeed.
We got Clint, we've got Travis, we've got Tim, we've got Mitch. This is an absolute treat so far. So, guys, we're just talking and we're just saying how it is 9 weeks to go, and how we're all feeling. Tim, how are you feeling, mate? 9 weeks to go. I know last time, you had this moment of truth where you realized you were not to plan and you were still painting Grail Knights. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, look, I've had another relatively unproductive week, unfortunately. I did get the Knights done, which is nice, and working on my Green Knight at the moment.
That looks amazing.
Thank you. Look, I'm fairly confident that I'll get it done, but I think the last couple of weeks are going to be a push. I am fortunate in that I am a school teacher, and so sort of the 4 weeks before the tournament, I'll be on holidays, which definitely helps. I'm definitely feeling the push.
I thought you were going to say that with 4 weeks to go, you were going to enlist your children as child labor to paint and base your army. Although, in fairness, your basing is quite incredible, and I don't know if I trust kids to do that.
Look, my kids have each painted a miniature before, and they're not touching my stuff. Putting that out there.
Fair enough. And we had another exciting guest jump on, but he's also jumped off, so I'll wait till he gets back on. Clint, I might throw it over to you. Actually, you know what? Before we get into that, what are we currently working on?
I should be working on terrain, but I find terrain really difficult to work on and be on a camera at the same time because I make lots of noise and whatnot. So I'm assembling Nighthaunt at the moment.
Anything in particular from Nighthaunt?
I'm assembling Bladegeist Revenants.
Nice.
And is this an army that you're preparing for a particular event, something that you just want to do? Like, why Nighthaunt? Why now?
Well, I kind of have, when Nighthaunt came out, I was working on order stuff, and so I didn't buy any order stuff because that would just any Nighthaunt stuff because it would just distract me from the order. And so that's done. I can finally start looking at Nighthaunt because, big time death player, really. That's my main thing. And I figured that I just wouldn't do any more prep for CanCon. I would just turn up, make somebody else run it, and then I'd play with Nighthaunt. So that's the plan.
Sounds like a good plan.
It isn't the plan. That would hurt me on all sorts of levels, not having any control over things. So, yeah, I'm just getting them ready for the 2019 tournament season, really.
Awesome. And speaking of someone who also hurts me, we've had someone else drop on the line. Who is with us now?
Hey.
Who are you?
Who am I?
You called me.
I don't want to steal your thunder. I'm trying to
Introduce yourself.
You're like, hi, my name is.
Hi, my name's Andrew.
Awesome. And so you might know Andrew from you guys did a episode. Did you do an episode with Trav?
Yeah, Trav. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a mini episode with Travis and your amazing custom built free city. Is that right?
That's the one.
What's it called?
Molten Heart in Shamon.
Shimon.
That's the one. I'm currently painting some Stormcast for.
We've also got. Did somebody else just jump on?
Yeah,
a bit of a CrossFit guru.
Yeah, that's what's important in this community. Bring on that high-level strategy and insights.
how does CrossFit help you with CanCon?
And sport.
Well, if you follow with Chuck Moore and Hayden in Big Strength Hammer, there's actually a lot of synergy between fitness and gaming. But without further ado, who have we on the line?
Hey guys, James Moorhouse, dropping in briefly. Sorry I missed your tournament today, mate. Sounded like an absolute riot.
Yeah, it was good. I'm sure we could talk a bit more about. Yeah, I just for the viewers, I ran a small 23 team Age of Sigmar event, which was pretty cool, and I'm completely rat shit.
I'm amazed. You must be shattered.
Well, I got home and I saw my wife for about half an hour, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm streaming," and I'm sure I'm going to cop it when I get out of here. So
She's
maybe
like, I'm leaving you.
Nah, she's put up with more shit than that.
What a legend.
She puts up with a house full of phone for 4 months preparing for Sydney GT. I'm sure she'll. This is nothing.
That's why I've got to marry a gamer.
Is that what you've done? Is that the trick?
That's the trick.
All right, guys, you've heard it from Bigwood himself. Marry a gamer. And what's the benefits of marrying a gamer for all us non-married gamers?
Well, essentially, she doesn't hassle me when I want to go to a tournament or do some hobby because she's generally got her own to be doing. So makes my life easier.
Lovely. Have a great stream, guys.
See you later.
It's off. See you, mate.
Whirlwind visit.
Mate, in and out. In and out. See, I find it really interesting because my wife doesn't eat prawns, and when we go to like a seafood, dinner, I know that she doesn't eat prawns, so I get all the prawns. And I wonder if like that's the same with your hobby dollars. Do I get more hobby dollars because my wife's interested, or do I just have to split it with her?
No, well, she's mainly Blood Bowl, so every time something new for that comes out, it's got to be purchased. So she doesn't question when I want to purchase something. So
mate, you might have the secret to life.
What is best in life?
As long as you don't do the direct dollar comparison, that's actually a really good deal as well. Because like one team is what $100. We go, oh look, a new army. I need $1,000.
It depends on where the team's coming from. Like, is it a Forge World or is it a G-Dub?
Well, a lot of the third-party Blood Bowl teams run the sort of 150 to 200 mark. So GW have only recently got back into the Blood Bowl stuff because they were doing nothing with it. And everybody got on board. It's a bit hard to copyright, fantasy football.
Yeah.
You can try.
You can try.
So what actually happened at your event today?
My event was it was a team event. So it was teams of 2. There was no restriction in regards to alliances. So you could have a holy alliance, both from the same brand alliance, or you could have an unholy alliance. So some quite interesting combinations. It was just three games. It was relatively casual. I sold re-rolls. I think Clint, you guys had a charity event earlier this year where you guys had re-rolls for charity. I think you were raising money for a little girl. Is that correct?
A good friend of mine, his daughter, is fighting cancer. So we did a Triumph and Treachery Day, and people could buy re-rolls, and you'd be amazed how much money you raised that way.
That's such a rad idea. That's
especially
so cool.
If you let people buy re-rolls for re-rolls. So I would, and you might have seen this today as well, Anthony. You'll be watching a game and people will just slide you money and re-roll a dice and then slide you more money and go again. Did you have that happen today?
So I had this. So this is a story I absolutely love. So it's game 3. So I was selling them in batches. So I was raising money for Movember, that's the mustache. And I was selling them in batches. So 3 re-rolls for $10 or 5 for $15. And I think I was doing like the half an hour or the 1 hour call around the tables. And Steve Chasm, traditionally a Nighthaunt, he was playing. He was playing. I think he was playing like a Legion of Sacrament list, and he had Arcane the Black. And you probably know where I'm going with this. He started his dice rolls, and he had some pretty poor rolls, and I don't think he got many 6s to start. He looks at me and goes, "I want some dice." and he bought dice from me, and he got his Curse of Years off with the one. So I thought that was really cool, and some other people were, trying to pull off dodgy stuff like that. But
don't know whether his opponent would have thought that was cool.
They actually thought it was really cool. Actually, they had a laugh, and it was funnily enough because they were playing another Death Army, and in game one, that guy had Curse of Years like somebody else off. So it was all in the right spirit. I think there was no tournament points. It wasn't for rankings. The prizes weren't huge. But yeah, I noticed that, Clint. I think people just got in the spirit. It was going for a good cause.
People do that. They just, you're right. They get in the spirit of it and they play in the spirit of it. Done.
Though Steve said to me, he goes, if you sold opponent re-rolls, as in I can force an opponent to roll, I would pay you much more money. I'm like, that's an idea I will steal.
I don't know how well that would actually go down, to be honest.
That
might be okay for Steve, but
yeah, I'd probably cry a little bit, or maybe you get like one, but
so when I win Lotto one day,
you can throw your money at me to re-roll.
Turn up to your event and just like cut you a check for 10 grand and just can't lose or something.
Yeah, it'll be named after you, the whole event.
I don't think so. We've got some guys in the chat, and I'll throw over, say g'day to Doom and Darkness. We've got Sean up in Queensland as well, who's doing an Age of Sigmar event later, so early next year. So jump on to see Sean. We've got a bunch of people. So if there's anyone who's got questions, interested in asking Clint, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will ask either Clint, Travis. Got any questions about the Masters next week? Actually, you know what? That might be a good discussion point while I try to edge highlight some grots.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. What are we doing next weekend?
I was just going to have a quiet one.
Yeah.
A quiet one at home in Toowoomba.
Yes.
Or sorry, what does Rob Symes call it? Sorry.
What did he call it? I don't think he called it anything, did he?
I think he just laughed at it.
Yeah.
So what is happening next week?
It would be the second Australian Age of Sigmar Masters happening in Sydney. 24 of the best players from around Australia, as per the Australian Match Play rankings, playing to determine who will knock Dave Kerr off his Masters throne.
Or if someone will knock Dave Kerr, he has a chance to retain it.
Yes, he very much does. And so I think that'll be interesting. And Travis has been working on something pretty awesome in regards to letting people watch it.
Trav, what are you doing?
As I put a paintbrush in my mouth. So we've been steadily working away at setting up the various bits of technological science type jazz that I've just spent. It's actually a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be, but I got there in the end. But we've got sort of everything up and running so that we can broadcast the event. So we'll have a table coverage plus some sort of roaming reporting type stuff happening as well. So we'll try and get a look in at the rest of the event.
How many cameras?
Sorry?
How many cameras?
One overhead is all we've got. And then there's sort of portable ones as well. But on the table itself, there'll just be the one. It's because they're expensive, basically. So, yeah, we'll have to live with that. And then, we'll have some people walking around with just a little handheld one as well, just to have a chat and have a look at some of the other events and other tables and what's going on.
If there's any sponsors on the line here, and Logitech's probably watching right now, thinking, "How can I get involved in the Australian Masters scene?" Logitech, we happily take some cameras off you and promote what you guys do. We love it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. 2 more from if you're there, Logitech. 2 more would be great.
We know you're an up and coming business, and you need the sponsorship advertisement.
You're just starting out, so.
Can we not turn heralds into corporate shills, please?
Hey, we're on my channel, so I will do complete sellouts for anyone.
It's our Twitch stream.
True. All right. Well. All right. Well. While we're on my channel, Logitech, happy to take on some free cameras. I'm sure Clint would appreciate it. And So we're doing a stream. We're doing a stream.
We are indeed. So I'll be blabbering away most of the weekend about mostly AOS on the stream, and you'll be there as well, Anthony, assuming you don't have to play.
Yeah. So we've got Clint. Is it 16 of Australia's best players fighting it out, or was it 24?
It's full 24.
And we've got a diverse.
Next year.
And if people are interested in knowing more about the stream, is there anywhere I could find more about the streams, the lists, like where?
Well, we did a list review and draw over on Doom and Darkness on Thursday night. So if you hit up his YouTube channel, I've shared both that and the lists on the Herald's Facebook page and on the Herald's Twitter. Probably wouldn't hurt for me to put it on the Masters page on the Herald's website too, but that makes too much sense.
So shout out if you haven't seen Michael's channel. Everyone, I'm sure, is watching Michael Doom and Darkness. If you're not and you haven't watched this stream yet, definitely check it out. It is 2.5 hours of solid goodness, going through the lists, and there's some really interesting lists coming out. It's not. I was a bit concerned that it'd just be a bunch of like some of the net lists that you saw, people just taking things from like Blood and Glory and some of the most recent events, but there were some really good, unique lists.
There are, and then there are some fairly standard run-of-the-mill lists as well. I think last year we had a lot more inventive lists, I feel. But I think this year the stakes are a little bit higher, and so people are reacting by, rather than perhaps bringing Order Draconis or that kind of thing, they're bringing their A game and a list to match.
So for anyone who maybe caught the stream, do we think that the Masters list is a early indication of where the meta's going? Like we saw, for example, Wedge and Scott Norwood, 2 players who haven't been playing Death this competitive year, bringing Death to the Masters. Do you think that some of these are early signs of the types of armies and lists that we're going to see going into CanCon, or do you think this is just people wanting to win the Masters and then they move into something fresh?
I think people might be just prepping, because I kind of expected it to be a Daughters off. But maybe people are prepping for them being nerfed, so going with Death because it's at the moment not as horrible. I don't know.
Kind of. I think that you might be onto something there a bit, Andrew, but there's too many Grimghast Reapers coming for that to be true, because they're definitely going to get nerfed as well.
Yeah.
But I think the people who have traditionally done well with Daughters this year, you've got Sam Morgan, you've got Liam, you've got Hayden. Liam's bringing Sylvaneth, Hayden's bringing Ironeth. Sam Morgan has other commitments, so he couldn't come. So you've got all like the big 3 sort of Daughters players in Australia aren't running Daughters. So they've all sort of made decisions to not bring Daughters. They may curse that decision come this time next Sunday. But we'll see.
Yeah. Some of the lists interest me a lot. The Slanesh list was running 2 Exalted Greater Demons and a Keeper of Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And Joel McGrath's list?
Can't imagine how that would look on the board.
booby. Yeah, Joel came to me very early on with a combo and said, "This is what I want to do. Does it work rules wise?" And yes, I thought it did. Ran it past some other people. It did. So it's a list that is going to hit things and hit things very hard as far as Slaanesh goes. So
not just that, it's also going to potentially summon another Exalted Keeper, Demon of Slaanesh if one dies, just with how many wounds there is altogether.
He's a filthy, filthy man.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you guys, like, so Joel's running Slaanesh, and we probably don't see a lot of Slaanesh on the table at the moment. And we've got potentially this Wrath and Rapture box coming. Who knows? Any day now. Could drop before CanCon, could drop after CanCon. So with the Masters, do you think that Joel has a competitive edge by playing an army that people are very unfamiliar with, but is quite strong?
I think I don't know enough about the Exalted Demons, but Slaanesh can be very squishy. So yeah, no, the only thing I can think is, like, unless it's I can't remember if it had Chaos Warriors or anything Chaos Knights thrown in, but
it's got a lot of the dudes on the steeds of Slaanesh.
Chaos Riders, yeah. So the -1s they stack, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
It is debatable, but we've ruled that they do.
Yeah, okay, so then that's a pretty scary army to be dealing with giant monsters that have their amazing to hit and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the reason why I asked as well is let's assume that there is a box. Last year we saw Nurgle get they didn't get the battle tome before CanCon, but we did get the Nurgle wheel introduced before CanCon. I'm wondering if we're going to see something similar.
Well, the book was out before CanCon.
Was it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It came out.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very sure. It came out the Saturday of list submission. It came out the Saturday. List submission was on the Sunday.
Right.
So
okay.
people were having to hand type their lists because War Scroll Builder wasn't up to date.
Yeah, I just remember some comments from people. Maybe it was they were underprepared, not they didn't get access to it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the box set's probably closer than that. I think the box set is pre-Christmas. Maybe. I think it's early December.
We haven't seen a new plastic keeper, though.
They will keep that under their hats until the last minute.
If it's the same as Nurgle, though, you won't see that until the tome comes out. So that'll be...
Because we saw the Fiends, new plastic Fiends.
Yeah.
But that was it, yeah.
That one's because somebody stuffed up.
Yeah. No.
So, I don't think we'd have seen them until we saw the Fleshhounds and stuff. All things going to their plan. So, yeah, it will be very interesting if there's a situation where there's a whole bunch of new Slaanesh models that come out in this box, but there's no new book.
I don't think there will be. At most, there might be one. Like in the Nurgle one, you had whatever his name is, dude on a snail.
Particular Slaanex.
Yeah, him.
He's probably this little man.
I reckon one.
I don't even like Nurgle, I just want that model.
Don't forget that Blood and Glory, they said that the next battle tome is Destruction. So they haven't explicitly said Moon Clan, and I saw something interesting in in my Moon Clan WhatsApp group that there's a book coming out later next year that refers to a Moon Clan type army, but they're called Gloomtide, I think it was called. So the book comes out as a Black Library book coming out in August, and they call it Gloomtide, and they describe mushrooms. So I'll be curious to see what this book, whether it's Moon Clan, whether it's a general Grot book, what that does.
Sounds pretty cool. I am going to have to jump off, sorry.
Oh, how dare you?
No.
That's good the time I had. Enjoy the rest of your stream, guys.
See,
See you,
mate.
guys. Yeah.
It's probably more likely to be Grot simply because I think Moon Clan are probably the only Grot list that can do a viable army on their own.
Mm.
You know, if you do Spiders or just Git Mob, there's next to nothing you can do. So
You'd have to do a Beast to Chaos
mm,
if you were going to do that
Yeah.
route, and I don't think they will.
yeah.
I think they'll go Moon Clan. It might not. Will it be called Moon Clan or will it be called something else? Not sure. The fact that we've got, like in Shadespire, we've got all different sorts of squigs now.
Yeah.
So it might be, what did you call it, Anthony? Gloomtide or something like that?
Gloomtide. I don't know if it's called Gloomtide, but the book that is referenced on Black Library, funnily enough, on the German site,
Okay.
it's Gloomtide. Now I don't know if it's Gloomtide Grots, Gloomtide. It just refers to Gloomtide. And what was really interesting is the narrative is based around Asquishy. So I don't know how that plays a piece or what that means, but I thought it was super interesting. And they talk about, mushrooms and fungus and all of that.
Based around what? Sorry?
Like fungus and mushrooms. So it alludes to a Moon Clan army, but it doesn't actually say Moon Clan. And no video, no stream has referred to Moon Clan. So I don't know. Everything is all this Gloomtide.
That's also the name of the Hynes boat, too.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Gloomtide Shipwreck.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. So I wonder.
It could just be a translation thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's that troll warband for Shadespire coming out as well, and he's covered in mushrooms.
Mm.
Yeah, whether they go down the extra squigs route or something like that.
Well, you've also got that rocky, like what is it? Some stalactite type model too, which is fascinating.
Yeah, they're all some sort of squig apparently.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that means for any sort of Moon Clan list or something.
Whole squig army.
Yep.
Don't
It could just be Battletome fungus. And it's just all squigs and stuff. Squigs and trolls.
Yeah.
Can't ally with Moon Clan.
That's
really mess with people.
That would be cool. I do have a question from the chat. So Sean has asked. He goes, He's running a tournament up in May, an Age of Sigmar tournament, and some of the guys have spoken about realm spells. One of the guys thought about using the spells, but only if you're from that realm. What are our thoughts on only accessing the realm spells if you're from that realm?
That was one of the fairly early suggestions, like when Malign Sorcery came out and people were like, okay, what are we going to do with all of this? One of the suggestions, I know that Scott Reed, who runs LVO, the AOS at LVO, and I were talking about it, he and Joel at Measured, was basically that you would pick the army that your realm is from like normal, and that your wizards, instead of being able to pick, like all wizards would be able to get a spell, and instead of taking them from your allegiance, you'd pick them from the realms. And so that gave non-Battletome armies something to work with, and it also meant that you were using the realm spells and utilizing that sort of thing, but not to the huge extent of both armies have access to 6 extra spells each, etc., etc. It's an interesting idea.
Why don't you think? Sorry, go on, Andrew.
Yeah. I mean, it is. The only thing I'd worry me as a primarily narrative player is the people that then just pick a the best spell and say my army's from there, and you end up with a whole lot of people from the same place just so they can get access to that spell.
It favours armies that already have a strong caster, I think, as well. So if you've got like a Nagash, then you just go, well, I'm going to pick whichever one works best for me, and good luck stopping me cast it.
Yeah. But that also, just using the realm spells at all, favours favours Nagash and Alariel and Marathi and stuff. I think it's interesting. Like, I get what you're saying there, Andrew, but it's also interesting that I think some of the best spells in the realms aren't matched by the best artifacts. Like, if you had to choose between banishment and doppelganger cloak, like, if that's a choice that you had to make to write your competitive list, that's a big choice to make, perhaps. It'd be interesting to see what people prioritize, that extra spell that's amazing or that artifact that's amazing, but they're in two completely different realms.
Like, do we stop seeing the ethereal amulet for more powerful spells?
Yeah,
as an example.
Yep. That it would be interesting.
So to answer the actual question,
I know. We're all thinking about it. We're all now thinking about the ramifications.
So let's answer the question for Sean. Would we recommend that he uses it in his event next year?
It's an option. I guess it's got pros and cons, like all the options do, of using them or not using them. But it might be an interesting one to try. But
and I mean,
it's hard to say
until someone uses it at a tournament. Like, we're not going to know exactly how it's going to go properly at a tournament.
And look, I think it was on your podcast, Clint. Someone was asking a similar question, and it comes down to the more variety we have in events, the better. So if he wants to give that a go, and no one else does, or makes his event unique, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think next year, Clint, you know this better than anyone here. The events calendar is already looking chock-a-block for the AOS competitive scene, and if we're all sitting around that 2K mark, what are those different points of what are the points of differentiation other than the 18 competitive match play and secondary objectives? This could be one. This could be something that's going to be different, unique, brings in a different type of player, promotes different types of armies.
Yep. Sean's in, is it Gladstone?
Yeah, I think it's Gladstone. I'm sure he'll correct me in the chat. Why do you ask?
Oh, I was just... I've seen Sean's name pop up in the groups and stuff, and I was just trying to remember exactly where he's from. Let me just pull up the group so I can remember his event as well.
He said yes. He said yep.
Yep. Cool. So that makes his event.
I think it's May-ish.
Yeah, that is chopped. Okay, Hold of the Realms. Yeah.
Would this be something, Tim, Andrew, would this be an event that you guys would be interested in attending if you could and that rule was in play?
I mean, absolutely. Sorry, you go.
As I said, I'm all about the narrative, so anything like that. Because if they do that, my army list is going to be from Shamon, full stop, because that's where it is. So to be able to further cement my narrative, I'd probably give it a go if I could get there, because I do live in the asshole of the world. But yeah, it's something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm similar in that, I am 7 hours away from Sydney, so getting to those kinds of events is tricky. But I love all the realm spells and that kind of stuff. I think they're great fun. I think you do, if you're going a competitive match play kind of scene, you do need to rein them in a little bit. As you were saying, use them instead of your allegiance spells or whatever. But yeah, look, I play them. We play with them at our local club quite often, and they're just a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, no, I think I think it's a good idea. I like it. It's almost like whether you apply a Firestorm type approach where it's you have one or the other, or some type of. I think it's worth exploring. I think, and I guess this is probably my message for anyone who's coming to CanCon, who hasn't been playing with the Realm features just yet. They're great. Clint, I'm so excited that you've got the Realmscape features in the pack, and I don't know how you guys have been going with this, but ever since you brought out the CanCon pack and the scenario pack, all of our events have followed that kind of methodology, and we've been trying to practice the potential 1 in 3 options, and just seeing the speed of light comes up. And I think today I had the Aetherquake come up, and it's super fascinating. And I'm yet to hear a story where one of those Realmscape features broke the game and completely swung the momentum. I really enjoy it.
I'm glad to hear that, because Dennis and I spent a good couple of hours going through them all to determine which 3 we could pick that weren't going to be too extreme, but still had an effect on the game somewhat. And in some cases, you'll find that we didn't find 3. There's a couple, I think there's 2 realms where we went, one of the options is
no effect.
No effect. Yeah. Just because it was like 2 good ones. It's like, yeah, this is cool. Like we can, yeah, that one's good. That one's good. Oh, yeah, that one's probably a bit too much. That one's too much. That one's too much. Yeah, okay, we want to implement them. We want people to use them. But you also don't want to throw in the possibility of something too game-breaking. Because it is a fairly competitive event. It is one of those ones where lots of people are playing. So if we stuff it up, we're stuffing up games for a lot of people, and we don't really want that at all. But yes, I have noticed that a lot of people are using the pack now, which is good. People need to practice it. The scenarios themselves are being used at Crimbobo this weekend. Yeah. They're using our combinations. I think they've skipped round 5. I think because we're 6 rounds, they're 5, so they've dropped 1 out.
They're using my cheat sheet. They're using my cheat sheet. They're using it, and they've called out the CanCon pack. So, again, guys,
they definitely asked. They said, "Do you mind if we use this?" I'm like, "Of course not." Like, please do some play testing for me.
Yeah. But I think for anyone on the stream who is still concerned, who hasn't play tested the Realmscape features just yet, they're great. They're a little bit different, but they're not going to game change and ruin your perfect strategy. I really like them. Has anyone else tried it? Anyone played with it? What have you learnt so far?
I played a couple of games just with my daughter to get her ready. The speed of light one's handy, and it's not particularly friendly when you're playing against them and Bogwadons. But no, it doesn't break anything. I mean, I think it adds some flavour to the games, and it's good stuff.
Tim,
Yeah.
how are you going with it?
Yeah, so I had my first game with my army on Tuesday, only 1,200 points. That's how much I got built. But we played Border War in Shaish. Yeah, it was great. Had a great time. Managed to sneak out a win against Gutbusters, which was surprising but excellent. Tip that for anyone out there, Grail Knights actually hit really hard when they get a charge off. Like really, really hard.
Isn't that what they're supposed to do, though?
That's absolutely. Particularly with an Enchantress there to give them re-rolling all failed hits.
They're pretty pricey, aren't they?
They're 180 for 5.
Yeah.
So I ran a unit of 10. So 360 points. Only 20 wounds there, but they were just bouncing around the table, just taking everything off. It was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, we play with Realmscapes almost every game that we have at our club, just because it's fun.
Is there any Sorry, Con.
I was going to say to Tim that you better be careful because they'll nerf Bretonians again if you start coming on here and saying that they're decent. They'll be 300 points for 5. So
yeah.
When are they going to do that to Tomb Kings?
They already kind of did. They will just leave those all rot on the vine now.
Yeah.
But if they did that for you though, Tim, maybe you would have to paint less for CanCon.
Maybe. Although I do have my Grail Knights all done now, so
that is unfortunate. But you'll have less other stuff to paint.
That's true.
Sorry,
you go now, Anthony.
No. I before we get off the topic, I want to go back to Andrew, because he made a little funny comment that our listeners may not have picked up, and he said he was preparing the Realmscape features for his daughter. What does that mean?
She hasn't played a lot of that stuff, so she's got to obviously get the hang of it before she comes to CanCon. So,
and that's the goal that I wanted to unpack. So your daughter is effing coming to CanCon.
Yeah, she's just stopped today. She's been painting frantically all day to get some more Saurus done because we're going to go to. There's a little mini thing at GW Warhammer Belconnen next Saturday, so we're going down there for some prep games as well. So,
I think it's fucking outstanding, mate.
That's
I
rad.
think it's really cool. Like she was at, I first met your daughter. I think it was Sydney Slaughter, and she hung around, and I'm like, this little girl, why is she hanging around? She must be bored out of her mind watching her dad for 2 days. And then she come to Sydney GT, and I'm like, all right, something's going on here. What the hell's going on? And then you bought her a ticket.
Yep.
How old is she?
11.
Awesome. Yeah, I play with my 8-year-old. We mainly play Mordheim because he loves the post-battle sequence stuff. He just always wants to just finish the game so we can do the whole post-battle stuff. But I took him to BrizCon. He didn't play, but he was my hype man, and he'll probably come to a couple of games at CanCon as well.
Well, Beth's been around all gaming, obviously, all her life. So it was inevitable she'd pick it up. She likes Shadespire and stuff as well. She's played a little bit of Blood Bowl. And she's a gamer. Like she paints very well for an 11-year-old. But she really just wants to roll dice and smash face. So
nice.
And she's got a troglodyte on, and that earns her points in my book.
Yeah. She loves the spitty thing. That's hock a loogie on someone and then charge them while they're screaming. She loves that.
So, maybe a good question for you both is, in fact, anyone who's got kids, how did you guys go about introducing your kids into gaming, and how do you mature? How do you kind of foster that seed? Like, what are you guys doing? Tim, I know you brought your son up to CanCon, as a BrizCon. Andrew, you're talking about her coming to CanCon. Tell us more. Like, how did you get your kids involved, and how do you continue to get them involved?
It just kind of happens for me anyway. It just kind of happens almost organically. Like, both my kids are massive readers, and both are into the sort of the fantasy sci-fi stuff. So the question gets asked at some point, how does this work? And then before you know it, they're painting their own models. And Patrick, my son, who at the moment is drifting more into CSGO and online stuff. But yeah, he came to CanCon in the last hurrah of fantasy with me, and he had a Lizardman army there. He was only, he must be about 10, I think, at that point. And Beth has been slowly building towards it. And then Sigmar, I think, is much more accessible than fantasy was, for not just for kids, for new gamers in general. The rules seem to be they flow much more sensibly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I said about the realm stuff. Like, she knows the rules, she can play her army, but there are little nuanced things that slowly we're getting towards. So, and I'm a teacher as well, so we've got 3.5 more weeks. Not that I'm bloody counting. So then we'll have sort of 5 weeks where we can just get some solid practice in and get our armies finished and stuff like that. So.
Andrew, mate, I reckon we might be soulmates.
Possibly.
I'm a teacher as well. I'm a narrative gamer.
Yeah.
Have kids in the game. Love it, mate. Love it.
Both have big bushy beards.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think, again, it's just something that happened naturally, and your kids kind of want to do what you do. Like, they look up to you and they want to do what you do. And so, they were always sort of coming in and wanting to paint with me and that kind of stuff. My son won, they have prizes at school for doing good stuff. And he brought an army man, green army man home one day, and he was so excited. He's like, Dad, we need to paint up this army man. So I taught him how to use my airbrush and put some washes on it and that kind of stuff. And he absolutely loved it. And he has autism as well, and numbers are his thing. So he loves the statistics and crunching numbers and rolling dice and that kind of stuff too. So yeah, it's fantastic.
One of the other teachers that I work with has got a son who's on the spectrum as well, and she was trying to find some way to engage him. And I said the same. I said, look, it seems expensive to start with, but if you get him looking at this stuff. And so she took him to a Warhammer store, and bang, he's into it.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess what I'm hearing as well is it's all starting through inclusion. It's, not hiding away and not kind of keeping it, very secretive. You're almost bringing them in and showing them, and, you're really maturing and kind of nurturing that inquisitive mindset. And, to Andrew's point, now it's just normal, and they definitely want to be involved.
Mm. Yeah, like I said, both my kids are readers. When we go to Canberra for a 2-hour trip, I Beth a book and she's finished it before we get home. So that sort of narrative stuff she loves, and she's all the characters in her army are already named. So.
Are you excited, or is she excited about the new Warhammer books that are targeted towards younger people? Is that something that? Yeah,
I know there was a lot of hate when they came out, but I just thought, wow, that's amazing. That's a great step for GW, and and yeah, she's chomping at the bit to get hold of him.
I think a lot of that hate came from a community that was not the Age of Sigmar community, and I'll just leave it at that.
and also from a lot of people who don't have children. Because I know that my son will be super keen on those as well. And the fact that they're going to be voiced by David Tennant and Billy Piper.
Absolutely.
How good is that?
Yeah.
So all the Whovians are a bit like that Venn diagram crossover of Whovians and Warhammer players are all stoked. So my son's pretty chuffed about that because he quite likes Doctor Who as well. So
is that a big thing? I'm not a Doctor Who fan, and the last thing I remember of Billy Piper, I think she did a song in the 90s or early 2000s. Like,
wow, that's going back.
But like, is that a big thing for the community to grab these two people to voice things?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because even if you're not in that crossover, if you're not a Warhammer Doctor Who person, if you're a Doctor Who person or someone who really loves David Tennant, I'm led to believe there's lots of them out there. You might just pick this up because it's got him in it, and that will bring you into the Warhammer lore, and maybe that's another thing that you'll get hooked on. So it's the same as getting Brian Blessed to do Gotrek.
Yeah,
like it's publicity for Games Workshop. It's actually quite clever. It would have cost them a fortune probably compared to just their regular voice actors and stuff, but I think it's very clever.
And you started seeing that with AOS 2 when it dropped, and we had Becca. They started headhunting some cross audience influencers, and it's going well.
I was asked, but I declined.
Well, you got to give some other people a chance, like.
Yeah, I know. It's my schedule's very full.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of give people a chance, we've had someone also jump on the stream that I want to give a chance to get an introduction from. G'day.
Hello, everyone. How you guys going?
Who are you?
Well, my name's Sean, and I'm the guy that's doing the tournament up in Gladstone in May. So,
so now you can ask us properly.
Yeah, I can ask the master. Yeah.
No, welcome. Thanks for jumping on the stream. I had a lot. So Sean, gave me some really good advice leading up into Sydney GT. So thank you for your advice. I think we're all growing together as a community and sharing insights. So glad to have you on board.
No worries, mate. Like I said, when you first begin doing these things, you need all that help you can get, and it's always I'm always willing to lend a hand, no matter where anyone is.
And you're relatively new to the Sigmar scene, aren't you?
Well, I've been in it since it first began, but unfortunately, being Central Queensland, being such a small area, everyone threw a big wobbly when the end times occurred and all that. But so it went through a bit of a lull. But now that AOS 2 has happened, you've seen everyone who were fantasy players are coming back, and it's just growing hugely in the last 6 months, which is great.
Oh. Speaking of nurturing little ones, we got a little one back there.
Yeah, my little one here. Hey, say hello, Thomas.
No.
Matching wife beaters and all.
Well, it's 33 degrees here, so it's still quite warm.
Was it 33?
That's Celsius for our American listeners.
Yes. It's not freezing. It's really hot. Singlets are an okay item of dress once you sort of go north of Sunshine Coast.
This is the formal wear, right? This is what you do when you get dressed up for a stream.
But yeah, it was my experience. Like I said, I played, what was it, when Chaos Dwarfs was still a GW faction. That's how long I've been in the hobby for. So,
Wow.
They've never been a real army,
No.
Sean. They've never been a real army.
oh, don't tell. I've got a player who he's a Chaos Dwarf player. It's amazing just the army he's got. But I've got must be about 13 different armies I play. Yeah, so my son likes playing with the Stormcast too.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's really cool.
I just got an email from GW guys, and they have. Yeah, I know. They have revealed some more bits and pieces from the Wrath and Rapture box we were talking about earlier. They've shown the new plastic Karanak,
Yep.
who looks sufficiently savage.
And Ranger's put that image in the chat, which is awesome.
Cool.
Should we do you want to pull up the email? Should we show it off on the stream, or should people just go look somewhere?
I've got the page open here. Let me just.
Ooh la la.
Okay.
Roll.
Do you want me to?
You want to take it over?
Share my screen. Hang on.
Yeah, let's check out these models. Let's all live drool together.
I'm just making sure my tabs are all in order. Hang on.
Closing all the 18 plus websites.
What am I doing? Screen share. No, that one. The one that isn't the video.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anthony, do you want to lock on the screen onto?
Yeah, we had it, and now I will.
That's nice.
Yep. So that's Karanak there. How gorgeous does he look?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. So that looks pretty awesome. And we also have, there's a video that I kind of was playing through before, so I'll just switch tabs. And we have this new Herald.
Oh,
Wow.
So that's the Rumor Engine video there.
it's a harp made of like fleshy bits.
Absolutely.
It's pretty full on. Because if you have a look there, she's standing on what I assume is the person holding the harp up.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's arms.
Yeah.
Wow.
There, I think. So somebody's.
That is messed up.
It's so for everyone who's like, oh, they're going to get rid of Slanesh because it's not PG-13. Hello. So yeah, that's pretty full on. You can sort of see that we've got the fiends that they've already broken. The new, new demonettes, the regular demonettes. So we're not going to get new ones. And over here, you can see the existing steeds, the seekers.
Yeah.
And are they going to show us the? So they do a bit of a spin round of Karanak.
Wow.
He looks so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may actually have a stack of Juan Diaz demonettes that I've been hoarding until Slanesh comes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find if they've got like an army shot of the corn. Here we go.
Because it says full reveal, so
yeah, it shows you all the stuff that's in the box, so people can. That's I think it's the leading article on Warhammer Community now. As you can see, I think it's just new Flesh Hounds and Karanak, and then we've got new Fiends and that Herald, which is just amazing. It's Infernal something. It's just down here. Infernal something.
And we can see the body now. We can see that.
Yeah, that's sweet. And then if people care, they revealed a bunch of 40k stuff like
Noise Marines or something.
Colts, Gene Stealer Colts on bikes, Sweet Chaos dude.
Oh, is that
It's a new character. So
Right.
everybody's like, "Oh, I want a new Abaddon," and they've gone, "No, you can have this new character." And everyone's favorite Ultra Smurf as a plastic. So that was the teaser that they put up the other day about death and honor and whatever. So he's now a Primaris Marnius Calgar. So there we go. Pretty sweet.
I think that is pretty exceptional, and I love the Realm of Chaos book. That brand is synonymous with Warhammer.
It looks
We've had it
the logo looks almost the same as the old Realm of Chaos books.
You'll notice that there's a 40k and an AOS book in there as well. So they've gone, this will be for both systems. Same as old Realm of Chaos wasn't it? It was for both, yeah. So that leads me to believe that if they've got that stuff in there, you're not going to get a Battle Tome for Slanesh for a while. But if this comes out before CanCon cutoff, people will definitely be able to use it, of course.
Yeah. Well, let's assume that. Let's assume. I think we're talking off stream earlier that you had leading into the Beast of Chaos. The Hammerhall Herald kind of had some pictures leading into it, and then we had the drop a few weeks later. Now, what else? I think Deepkin was the same. We had some Deepkin kind of Hammerhold Herald kind of stuff before that dropped.
Yeah, I think if we're seeing, let's take off my screen share. Stop sharing. I think if we're seeing the full box set now, I think that's going to go up soon. Maybe not this weekend coming, but the one after that. Yeah, before Christmas.
You've almost got to think it's next week or the week after.
Well, they've got those Christmas battle forces to do at some point too. Yeah. They've revealed, like they've shown them, but they haven't put them up yet. So I would have assumed that they'd be up fairly soon.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that's meant to be the second weekend of December, but not sure on that.
For the Battle Force boxes, that's entirely too late.
Yeah,
that's entirely too late.
It is.
They've done silly things before though, because you remember when they first brought out Start Collecting boxes, that was like the second week of January, and everyone's like, "These have been out in December. You just sold all of them."
Yeah. Unless they're trying to, make the most out of Speed Freaks and the new Warhammer Quest.
Well, they gave Blackstone Fortress a 2-week sort of run up.
Yeah, so. I mean they've had a good run, but you're right. Like I feel like now is the time to tell Mummy and Daddy what I want for Christmas and convince them to come to a Games Workshop.
Please, Mummy, can I have the box with the man holding up the harp?
And then she comes in like, I'm looking for a harp model. Like,
it'd be this one. And then all of a sudden you're dragged into church.
So you're gonna need blood for the blood god. You're gonna need some,
Don't joke about that, because back in the very old days when I did actually work there, that actually does happen.
Yeah.
There was always one person I remember quite famously wasn't allowed to have a magic phase, because that's like in fantasy games he had to skip the magic phase because his parents were actually quite religious.
Right. Is this back to the scare about Satanism and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff again? Like that kind of...
pretty much, yeah. Like they weren't allowed, wasn't allowed to have a magic phase because that's basically witchcraft. So this kid had to like play the game, but skip a phase.
Did he have dwarves? Because that would have been okay.
I honestly can't remember. I just remember it's So that is actually a serious concern for some individuals.
I'm sure it is because but yeah, don't ruin my joke.
Oh, not. I'm compounding it if anything because yes. Anyway,
so who's starting Slanesh armies? Like after seeing that.
I've kind of been waiting for a new keeper. Slanesh were like my first Chaos force back in just after Rogue Trader. And I had all the original metal Slaneshi stuff with the the keepers, the Cowhead Keeper Secrets. It's now about the size of a Stormcast. But yeah, so I really like Slanesh. So maybe not just yet, but it'll be on the cards.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, that's the only one I'm missing because I've got Skaven, Khorne, and Ghoul Siege, so...
Well, you've got to fill it in.
But might as well complete it. Yeah. I've got Ever Chosen lying around somewhere too, so...
Fair enough.
So
I don't know. We'll do all of it.
I don't know if I'm going to start, but definitely I've got these old lobster clawed old Slanesh models. So
wow, the 4th edition ones.
Yeah, I have a bag of 1DS stuff that I'm waiting patiently for some stuff to do. I could sell them and buy a house, but
So that's where I'm at with my Sisters of Battle. I've got about 3,000 to 4,000 points of Sisters of Battle, and I'm worried that my retirement fund is about to slip before my very eyes.
Oh yeah, it's not. It goes down by the day.
I reckon you've missed the peak on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I sold my entire Metal Sisters army about 18 months ago and made a small fortune. So I just made it, I think.
Yeah.
I might as well just wait for the Plastic Sisters to go extinct and then another 20 years.
Well, when the plastic ones come out, you can go, these are, out of production. Look, sell them as one of those sort of OOP armies.
Professionally painted as well.
Are they pro-painted?
I painted them when I was like 13.
Did you pay yourself to paint them and they're pro-painted?
Like how many of the eBay sellers are legit professionally painted?
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to eBay standards, then yeah, that pro-painted. That's fine.
So it seems like the chat's also very keen as well on the new Slanesh box, Slanesh and Khorne, I think.
Yeah.
Anyone with the metal doggos are going to jump at these new doggos.
I'm calling it right now. If anyone wants to go hard and wants some Khorne stuff, hit me up.
Oh, there you go, Travis jumping on Slanesh.
Yeah, I don't care. Bandwagging it. Although I have actually already ordered some Slanesh models, so technically I'm only half bandwagging.
Isn't that a prerequisite, Slanesh, to jump on?
And then off again, and then
yes, and repeat.
Cover that boy's ears, Sean. He doesn't need to listen to this.
We're talking about riding a motorbike, Clint.
Of course.
Jeez, come on.
He's too young to understand.
That's why none of the Slaneshi steeds have saddles.
Doorbell.
I just love that. That's the dirty joke. Mean it, so that next time somebody makes a dirty joke, it will go off again.
So
I work in a Catholic school. I've got to get them out somewhere.
The dirty jokes, that is, guys.
Just
to clarify.
I feel it needs clarification.
Yeah. Don't send a hate mail to my channel.
So back to CanCon for a minute, because we haven't actually talked about that since about 3 minutes in. Clint, I have a question for you.
Oh God, no.
Oh.
You're asking me publicly, which means it's going to be very annoying for me. So, yes, go for it.
Am I allowed to have 2 display boards?
Oh God.
Why?
Well, because they're linked, right? But it's 2 display boards that tell a story.
Do you get double the painting points?
Can there be more? Can you elaborate further on exactly what it is that you want me to agree to before you reveal it?
So
you know how you work.
My Chaos Army, right, which you know all about, is basically Stormcast that have turned into Chaos, essentially.
Yep.
So, am I allowed to have 2 display boards? One that shows the sort of the transformation aspect of it, and then they walk through a realm gate and turn up as Chaos on the other side.
So you want models that are forming part of your display that are not in the army on the display board?
They would still be. Yeah, I'd still use the models that were in the army on the display board.
Okay, so no extra models.
Probably no. There would be. Well, there'd be like half of one because I'd want to probably have one like cut in half, stepping through the realm gate.
Mm-hmm.
But
how close together are your 2 display boards?
Well, that's the thing. Do they have to be next to each other? Can I put them like?
So you want to put it on other sides of the table so I can teleport in from one to the other.
So you want to, yeah, righto. So you just want to take up extra room and confuse the fuck out of people as they.
Pretty much, yeah.
I want you to put that. I want you to put that display board next to like the 9th Age or 40k or bolt action. Bolt action. I want you to put the next to bolt action.
One of them is actually going to be in the gents' toilets in the next building. It would be really confusing, but if you find it.
And now we're back to Slanish again.
No, so I'd probably put them like separate, but like not ridiculously far apart. So you had to go looking for the other one.
Let him do it, Clint. It'll be fun.
I just hate that you've asked me live, which is exactly why you've done it, because you know how much it triggers me.
Actually, I don't. I didn't know you didn't like live questions.
Oh, I don't like being asked questions that I have to think about the answer to.
Look, all I want to know is, does my Exalted Keeper of Secrets and Keeper of Secrets ability stack?
Oh, let's not have that discussion again. That's been resolved. Thank you very much.
I couldn't resist.
Look, sure. If you want to do that, if you want to dilute your message, but each display board can only be a foot square. So instead of it can only be a foot square. So instead of a 2 foot square display board like everyone else gets, because you have 2, you can have a foot square each.
But you haven't had that restriction in the past.
2 foot square?
Yeah.
It's the size that just everybody makes them. Because it's the armies on parade size.
Blake Kerwick's 2 teams display board was 3x2.
It's 2 feet wide and 3 feet tall. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Vertical height's less important.
I'm going to use city inches.
Sure. If you want to do that, as long as there aren't models on the display board that aren't in your army.
Other than the one that is cut in half.
It's not a centerpiece model that's not in your army.
No. It'll be it's part of the terrain, if anything.
Yeah.
So if Travis can do this, can we all do it?
Sure. If you want to do that, fine.
Can I have 3 boards?
No.
How many grots are in your Moon Clan army, Anthony?
Currently, we're talking like battle line grots or
just
grots?
Individual grot models. Just make up a number because
about 90.
So can Anthony have 90 display boards with a combined footprint of less than 2 feet square?
I have been working on my display board. I have access to a wood shop through school, which is fantastic. So I've been building a cool little display board out of cedar, which has been quite nice. So coming on.
It smells good. So
it smells amazing.
So just all these people over at your army just going, just wafting the smell of cedar.
I love it. It's most people are trying to win a vote by their eyesight, but he's trying to get that smell.
Smell. And it's fitting because you've got like a Sylvanest theme happening.
Absolutely.
What we don't want it to happen with is a Nurgle army.
Yeah.
And in 2020, when I run Slaanesh, I'm going to do it by taste.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
There may not have been any C-bombs dropped, Anthony, but you're probably going to have to mark this one explicit.
Yeah.
Lick my model if you dare.
I would like to see Travis give away like bags to all of his opponents as well. Little tokens from Slaanesh.
Yeah.
Just right at the start of the game, you shake their hand, hand them a condom. Safety first.
And a
voucher to Moose Heads. Moose Heads?
Moose Heads.
Moose Heads, yes. Yeah. You've got that right.
Got a voucher there. You get maybe like, I don't know, what else could we do?
For anyone who's not familiar with Canberra, Moose Heads is I use the term loosely, establishment pub in the city that is basically a giant hole. I don't know why anyone goes there other than to get like King Hit or.
It's a big thing from old Warhammer that when people would go to CanCon, the group that they would go to Moose Heads on the Saturday and write themselves off.
Yeah.
So with the resurgence of eighth head people coming into the scene, you're going to see a resurgence of Moose Heads on the Saturday night, I think.
Yeah, you can
enjoy your quality evening.
Ask the Western Warriors about that. They've got a loyalty card there.
It's horrible. But anyway, carry on.
I know. I want to know what's going to happen in your Tell us more about Slaanesh 2020.
Well, I don't know yet. I've got to see. It's definitely going to be a demon army. I want to do a demon army. I've wanted to do one for a while, but Khorne was too
corny.
Too predictable at the time. Like at the time when Khorne came out, like I just didn't want to do a demon army because it pretty much meant you were doing bloodthirsters and like a massive bloodletter bomb, which I didn't really want to do. And I've just have an issue with, but I just don't like Nurgle models generally. I don't know why, I just don't. But, so I've been waiting for one that grabs my attention. So it's definitely going to be Slaanesh, I think.
And you didn't want to do Zinch because that's actually a good army, and that would, ruin your sort of reputation as somebody who only plays like soft armies and stuff.
Yeah, Zinch was more. I think it was more of a timing issue because I was in the middle of doing like I would have been vaguely interested in that, but I was in the middle of doing my Sylvaneth army at the time, so it was just not possible or anything else.
Fair enough.
So Clint, I feel like we should be asking you lots of CanCon questions, given you've taken the time out to be with us plebs.
I have successfully steered the conversation away from CanCon every time it's popped up. So thank you, Anthony.
That's all right. I'm just trying to add value to our viewers who are very keen, very enthusiastic to learn more. So I'll start off with an easy question. And given that the scene has kind of exploded, and we've probably got a lot of first-time attendees, what can people expect either attending CanCon for the first time or maybe returning from previous events that you've run? So tell us more.
Lovely and open-ended. I like it. So if they've never been to CanCon before, they can expect heat because it's insanely warm. Look, it's really hard for me to say this because it's twice as big as it was last year. So I don't know. Like, I know what we're planning to do, and we're planning to do exactly what we did last year. Give everyone that little welcome pack, give the nice pep talk. But we've also learned a bit. I would like to think that people who come to this tournament either for the first time or they've come to other events before, gone to yours or gone to whatever, is that they come away from it going, that was really quite well organized, because that's what I'm aiming for. And I think to wrangle the 200 odd people, that's where my prep is going at the moment. I think it will just, if people have gone to only small events before or haven't been to events, as I know that there are lots of first-timers, I think it's going to blow their minds just how many people there are playing Age of Sigmar. I think it will be a bit overwhelming for some people.
I have a question for you, Clint.
Sure.
You talk about in the players pack, you talk about narrative cards. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Awesome. Cool. I'm really glad I get to talk about this. So what we kind of wanted to do an event that's mostly competitive, but offers stuff to people who are narrative as well. And so by that, I don't mean full custom scenarios. I don't mean 16-page backstories for your army. We've got an overarching sort of story post Nagash's Necroquake, how that links the scenarios together, yet still uses the core scenarios. And then these narrative cards that give people an opportunity that they're narrative gamers like yourself or Andrew, or, I know there are people who just play for the narrative. That will let you create stories across the weekend. It gives people, they know they're going to win the event, but it gives them something to aim for to complete these narrative cards and tell their story through the weekend. It's got things on there like, heroic duels between infantry heroes and things like that. Stuff that you probably wouldn't do if you were playing if you're on table 1, you're not ticking off stuff on your narrative card. None of that stuff there is going to win you table 1 in the last game. But if you're playing narrative and you've got your Green Knight, and you're playing against somebody who's got Beastman, he's just going to go nuts and just go around chasing them off, and there'll be there may be something on the narrative card that covers that, and so you get to knock that one off, and you finish. It's almost narrative bingo.
Nice.
And so you fill that, you complete a line on that card, you get to drop it into a box at the front, and we're going to draw a bunch of those for people, and they'll get prizes. So it's not huge prizes, it's not big trophies or anything, but we're just going to say, right, we're going to pluck 10 cards out of this box for all these people who've completed, their narrative achievements across the weekend and had fun and just created a bit of a story. And then they'll get a little bit of a prize. So
I really like that. It's in an event this big, it's hard to cater to everyone. So we're trying to just give every little group its own thing to do. People who are there for painting, there's 2 options for painting. You can go for Judge's Choice, which is like more of a technical painting. And then there's Coolest Army, which is display boards and, flashy conversions and lights and sounds and scratch and sniffs and whatever. So there's that. There's the narrative stuff for the narrative gamers. They can sort of create their own stories and things like that. So we're kind of trying to, I know we're trying to do everything for everyone, but we're not trying to do it to the extremes so that everybody can just get a little bit of it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's great that you've acknowledged that not everybody is coming to CanCon to win it. and some people are coming here just to play. Something that I've noticed. So this is, CanCon was the first tournaments that I started attending. So I never attended tournaments before in Warhammer Fantasy, but it's becoming just as much as a social now because the event scene is becoming bigger and bigger, and we're not seeing each other as often. We just want to shoot the shit, have fun, roll some dice, catch up with old mates. Some of us, we want to win or we want to get those master ranking points, but some people, they just want to have 5 or 6 great games and tell a great story, or just meet some cool people. I love that you're catering for that.
Yeah, that's the plan, because I'm one of these people who I'm not overly fantastic at the game, I will admit. I play for the social interaction. I've always gone to events for the social interaction. So at CanCon, I get to see all these people who I only get to see once a year at CanCon, and hang out with them and chat and things like that. It's a bit hard now that it's going to be so big. But the social part of events is why I do it. And the game is a way to do that. Painting is part of the game, and that's kind of why I enjoy it and things like that. So I think it comes from wanting to make sure that everybody's catered for, comes from the fact that I think I'm a bit of an all-rounder rather than focused on one thing.
Yeah, and I think so something that's worth noting for people who are going to watch this or will watch this in the future is that I think one thing that we're doing this upcoming year, which we've never really done before, is we're putting a bit more structure around some of the social engagements after the games. And, we're doing a bit of a barbecue, and I know the Measured Boys are talking about doing something. And it's really great to see that the community, we've got Rob Symes looking like he's going to come down. Dan's AOS Shorts is coming over from New Zealand. We've got a bunch of other New Zealand guys, but also people traveling from all over Australia. So I think, we're keep an eye out for these social engagements and get involved, because we just don't have enough time to hang out with 200 people.
Yeah, I think it'll be the organised social events that'll be the opportunity for people to sort of catch up. And I think, there's a Friday evening do that will be good for people to, it's before the event, so you come along and you get to meet all these other people who you might not have met before. You might have seen us on stream. I haven't met Tim before in person, but I've watched all these videos, so it'd be good on Friday to meet him, and have a chat, because in the event I might not get to. So it's those structured social events are a good opportunity to come and meet all these people that we see on Facebook or we see on this, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's I'm really looking forward to it. I think this year, and I think when I think about the community and Australia as a whole, we've seen this explosion in the last 12 months of the Measured Boys really measuring up, stepping up, and they've really built a brand around themselves. You've got the Savage Northmen up in Cairns. You've got the Mango Mafia. You've got all these groups that have the SA guys are building a brand, and I see all these names, and I'm excited that Luke Stone has challenged me to CanCon, because Luke and I have been chatting nonstop. Yet it's great to get to know these people and get to meet them, and hopefully continue those relationships for the next 12 months. And hopefully I'm going to see them at other events, and they become less of a stranger the more often I see them at events.
Yep.
No.
Very true.
And the fact that Sigmar has literally exploded in the last 12 months, the fact, and we've got so many new people coming in, with events every weekend, being able to have those elements where you can just meet people. So the next time you have an event, you go, oh, hi, yeah, how was that one that you went to that I missed, and that sort of thing. I think it's really important to build a community.
Yeah. I think that's what perhaps we do as a game. We do better than other games, perhaps.
Yes.
Just the community side of things.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there aren't groups within communities that do really well at building up their groups and their social side of things. But I think as an Australian-wide community, we seem to do that really, really well, considering how spread out we all are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think it's because we're spread out. I mean, I think that's part of it. We spent some time last year in the UK, and we thought nothing of travelling 4 hours to go from Nottingham up to Edinburgh, or 5 or 6 hours. Sorry, and everyone was going, "Oh, really? You're travelling that far?" And we're like, "Well, yeah,
you have to."
Yeah. Oh, so we just think, oh, well, we're so spread out. If we don't go to these events, we simply won't see anyone. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because, I mentioned earlier today that I ran the teams event and I had 2 or 3 teams come from Wollongong, which is a good, 60 odd minutes travel. I had Dave Hurley come from Canberra, him and a teammate. That's 3-hour drive for a one-day doubles event, which you're right. Like some other people in other countries, they're struggling to engage with people within a 30 or a 1 hour radius of them, let alone 3 to 5 hours. So, community's been massive for us.
Definitely. Yeah, I did see Dave on the video you did earlier, Anthony, and I was surprised that he'd driven for the one day, but it's also awesome.
Mate, he got up at like 4 o'clock to drive to my event, and I'm humbled that he would even drive. I was in bed at 4 o'clock. Like, this guy's driving to my event. That's fucking awesome.
He just wanted to really, really see that mow in person. Like, he'd heard tales, but he just wanted to see him.
No, I mean, I think we're really lucky to have the cool people we have in our community. And I think that's one thing that's really exciting for me next week for the Masters as well, is just meeting up with these guys and chatting with these guys. And then in CanCon, we're going to chat more with everybody. Like, I can't wait. I went to university with Tim, and I can't wait to see him again. He stayed at my house 2 months ago, but I'm looking forward to seeing him again. And just this community is just awesome.
When I went up to October in Sydney a few weeks back, one of the guys that was playing there came up and said, "Oh, g'day, sir." It's like someone I taught like 5 years ago.
Wow.
I saw your name. Oh, great. Yeah, how you going, mate? It's,
Are you still a little shit?
No, to be fair, he was one of the good ones. If it was a little shit, I probably would have slapped him because I can get away with it. But, I had to get up. I had to leave school at 5:45 on Thursday to drive to Albury for a study day. So, I've had a long week.
Are there any other CanCon questions while I'm here? May as well. I have the packs open so that I don't answer it wrong. Awesome. Right, that's it.
No, I've got plenty of questions, but I'm waiting to see if Andrew or Tim or Sean.
Not Travis, because he's on mute.
Travis is trying to get some dodgy agreement with you. So.
I have a question. I think I know the answer. I'm pretty certain I know the answer. But why do you and other tournaments out there, why do you cap the painting points?
We had an event where somebody who would have finished, I think it was like 5th or 6th, just hit all of the painting points and got second, and it just felt like too much of a jump.
Sure.
And it also, it's one of these inclusiveness measures that lets people cap out their painting, whether they are like, because I'm fairly average across all the painting. Like I can kit bash, I can do minor freehand, I can do minor OSL and stuff like that. But you have people who are amazing converters. Maybe their painting's not as good, or they're not as good at freehand or something, or they're awesome at painting, but they can't kit bash for shit or whatever. And it just allows you to get a good paint score, regardless of which of the areas that you are good at. If we were running a much more hobby-focused event, I wouldn't cap them.
Yeah.
But because the second pack that we put out, the revised pack, has a revised paint rubric in, and that was something that Dennis and I sat down. And what we actually did was we scored. We'd come up with a draft pack, and then we would score armies that we owned or that we knew, and we would see what scores they would get.
Sure.
And one of them, in the original paint rubric, I think, Dennis's Orange Jaws got the full 25 or whatever. In one of the drafts, he got 10. Like it was too far the other way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask a question. We've asked a lot of questions about you. I want to know, as a community, what can we do for you and Dennis and Gemma and the people who are helping you at CanCon? Like, what can we do to make your life easier for this event?
Oh, we will definitely let you know on the day if there's something that you need to do. So the team itself, which I'm trying to make sure that people mention Dennis just as much as me, because he's going to be the bloke that I lean on the day to hold me up. So it's myself and Dennis are the TOs. Then we have Gemma, Sam O'Neill, and we have Ty Mills who's from Brisbane as the helpers. And Travis is helping out behind the scenes a bit, but he'll be playing on the day. So that's the full team, which is awesome. What can you do to help us on the day is be just as organised as you think we would want you to be. So play your game, put your book in. It's a big one. Put your book in when you finish your game, not when we have to ask you for it. Turn up to your games on time. Note that there are 200 odd people in this event and be courteous to them. If you have rules questions or you're not sure about an interaction of something that's integral to a list that you're writing, now is the time to ask. Not list submission day and you get a case of the feel bads because I say that this army that you just spent 2 months painting on this crucial combo, that's not how that works. Conversions is another big one. People, if you're doing something major, hit me up with a picture so that I can, because we don't want confusion on the day, because if you're playing in a 12-player event or you're playing at an event that's local to you, people know what your army is, and that model that you run as a Star Drake or something like that, people are used to that. You might play 5-6 people that you don't know, and if it's a confusing model, if instead of being a Star Drake, you've glued an Iron Man figure to a base or something, and given it a hammer, that's not really on. And so getting conversions approved beforehand is really big as well.
Yeah,
major conversions. If you switch the heads on your Stormcast from helmets to Space Wolf heads, go for your life. That's not a big thing. But
so I'll ask you now, and I know that you'll be cool with it, but I just want to say what I'm doing because it's awesome. For my Alariel, because she's like the lady of the lake, I want her to be like summoning a watery Wardroth beetle. So I'm going to sculpt it and cast it in clear resin. So it'll be like the lake coming up, forming a beetle underneath her. So it won't be like the actual Wardroth model. It'll be something that I've sculpted and cast in resin. That's cool, right?
I don't know. We're only allowing official GW models. No, that sounds amazing, and there's clearly a lot of thought and effort there, and that's really what's important in a conversion.
Yeah.
You should look at some of those water skater type beetles instead of the big.
Oh yeah.
Some of the one like that way, it looks like it swum up from the lake or something.
Yeah. That's cool.
Tim's like, oh, damn, now I've got to think of that.
What have you send photos? Is that what I'm hearing? Tim's got to send photos. He's got to tell you what's going on.
He does. He does have to get it approved in that fashion. So I've had some photos of use the drink opening there. I've had some photos of people's conversions that they're planning, and they were amazing conversions. It's awesome. And I went, they're great. If I have, can you just put them on the right size bases? That's. The conversions were good. They just were on the wrong bases. And that's kind of important as well, that you kind of match footprint on the table and sort of silhouette of the model. Like, there's no use replacing the Wardroth beetle with like a giant spider from the Goblin range and just sticking the Lariel. It's not the same thing. It's extreme examples, but yeah.
Well, I guess you don't want to be coming to CanCon and, my day is already ruined because the nasty TO has taken away my model that I was, absolutely excited about. But the reality is I haven't gone in and got this conversion approved. And it's not because you're like some dictator that needs to see every model. It's you're protecting the experience of 220 players and, trying to reduce any gray areas to the game. It's not that you're a bad guy. It's just you want to make sure that everyone has a good experience, not just yourself.
The first thing that I do is I go, would an opponent be confused by this? Like if you're running Nighthaunt and you've decided that you want to run your Bladegeist Revenants as Grimghast Reapers, but all you've done is change the faces or something. That's confusing for people. Don't make me make you feel bad when I have to take off unpainted models.
Yeah,
I can and will.
Oh, and you've done it to one of my opponents. I remember BrizCon. We pulled off a guy's. I was playing a Stormcast guy, and I think of his 2,000 points, he only had about 1,100 on the table.
Yep, because he didn't paint it.
Riders as well as mounts as well. People that just paint their mounts and then.
Well, see that's what happened to the Stormcast player that Anthony's talking about. I think they were Paladors and the Griff charges were painted, but the dudes on top were still primed.
Yeah.
And that's why we've changed actually from 3-color minimum to a tabletop ready, which means a base color on every part of the model and a color on the base.
Yep.
So you can't have an argument about, oh, I've got 3 colors on there. See, it's a Stormcast that's been sprayed black, and you've painted the silver on the hammerhead and like the rib, its tabard thing around there, and like its shield.
Yeah.
Like yes, you've got 3 colors on there, but you're also taking the piss. So
I mentioned that when I was talking to Trav about the bad old days of 40k with the 3-color minimum, and it was literally that.
Yeah, see, that's...
Yeah, spray it red and do one shoulder pad, one color, and one another, and you're done.
Yeah, so we wanted to just clarify, and that's why there's an image of the expected standards in the players pack now as well. I try and with my packs, I try and make it as obvious as possible and as clear as possible. what the expected standards and stuff are.
Are you going to be entering all the things manually, or are you going to try one of the programs?
Manually.
Oh, you're a brave man.
No, I think I'd be braver if I expected 220 people to all have their phones fully charged all time for the whole weekend and be able to input event results. I think that is. Last year we put the day 2, we put the draw up on Facebook, and the amount of people who went, I don't have my phone, or I don't have this, was quite amazing. So I definitely wouldn't trust online scoring. Not that, see, that's the thing, like Tabletop TO looks good, and we're going to be using it for Masters next weekend because I think we can control the 24 people in the room.
Yeah.
You know, we can, that's fine. We can have a charger in the corner that 2 people can queue up for, not 30. And the camera's just stopped. Hang on. And Best Coast Pairings was what they used at Blood and Glory the other weekend. And you had cases of people being in there multiple times, which affected their matchups. So I don't know who listens to the Just Playing podcast.
Yep.
Two blokes out of Liverpool that run a game store.
Richie and Ian.
Yeah. So I doubt they're watching, but shout out to them. It's an awesome podcast. I think one of them was in there twice. Richie was in there twice, which meant his first round results went against one of them. His second round result went against the other one, which meant his third matchup was wrong. Like his first round results went in against one. He then got matched up based on the second one, which said that he had no points. So he got matched up against somebody who lost, and then he got matched up in the third round against someone, and he got matched up against somebody who'd won 1 game when he'd actually won 2. So he played down 2 rounds of the event in an event that used strength of schedule as your tiebreaker, which is awful. And there was on Twitter, there were people saying, I'm in here 4 times, or, my list isn't there, or all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, I don't want that headache.
Yeah.
So I talked before about Trav helping us in the background, and I think he's on mute because he's doing noisy things.
I am on mute.
You're very good at leaving yourself on mute.
I was muted because I was eating a cookie.
Right. So he's been helping us out with the scoring system, and we've been playing around with that. So it will do everything we want from it: matchups, grudges, not letting people play against their own clubs, not letting people play against other, like standard software stuff, but it allows concurrent entry. So we'll have 2 or 3 people putting in scores all at once.
Okay.
Because last year we had the software that I've always used is 1 user only. And for 110 people, like 104 results, that hurt. It meant that I was putting in results the entire lunch break of day 1 and day 2. We ran behind on day 1 for round 3 just because it was so full on.
Well, that's why I asked. Like, I just think, for you, that's a huge amount of work.
And we've also extended our round times and our breaks this year to allow for. So if you have a longer round time, you don't get all those results at the end because people kind of taper off, which is good. You have a longer break, which means we can put stuff in for longer. And pretty much the first thing that Dennis and I said on the Sunday afternoon last year was we need a scoring system that 2 people can put stuff in. Yeah. So that's what we've been looking at.
Cool.
Any final questions before we start wrapping up? I know I've got one, but I want to just open it up to everyone else.
I promise not to talk for 20 minutes this time.
No, I think it's great. I think it's very helpful, especially again for people who've never been a TO. Like I've TO'd 3 times this year, and I've learned so much in the process. And Sydney GT definitely stretched my understanding and threw spanners out in the works that I wasn't expecting. And when there are extended breaks or things happen like this, we need to appreciate it's not that the TO is a bad TO. It's just that things unexpectedly happened and we need to help as much as possible. So the question I have before we start wrapping up is something that's quite unique to Australia when I chat to my overseas friends and might be quite new to someone who comes to a tournament is we require every player to bring at least 3 pieces of terrain to put on each table. How important, Clint, is that I bring my 3 pieces and I don't take the mickey with it or accidentally forget it? Like, what does that mean to you, to the community, bringing that 3 pieces?
Okay, so the first year we did all the terrain, like we just made sure that the terrain was on the tables and that was fine. Then we doubled last year. So last year was the first year we needed people to bring 3 pieces. Purely that meant that I didn't spend 23 hours a day for 6 months making terrain because Sigmar really needs 10 to 12 pieces on a table. And when you multiply that out by 50 tables, there's a fair amount there. So now with 100 tables, it's even more important. I think getting people to bring 3 pieces of terrain with them, I think, is good because it means that they get to put a bit of investment into this terrain. They might paint it up that matches their army. They might not. They might just paint 3 different bits. It then gives them 3 pieces of terrain to use at home, on their own gaming table, or at their mates, or whatever. It means that the organisers of events who ask people to bring 3 pieces of terrain can put their efforts into other things other than just making rocks and forests and stuff. And I think it just generally contributes to the it's a good-natured contribution to the community in that fashion. If you take the mick and you bring, a 6-inch high wall to hide your caster behind, and then this, and then this, and then this, you're not only doing it wrong, I would say. As much as I don't like to say people do hobby wrong, that's wrong. That you're doing that wrong. You're contributing to a bad play experience for your opponent. You're creating a bad name for yourself, and you're making it harder for the TOs because they may decide that next time they'll just supply all the terrain because people are jerks. So don't do that. Don't bring big walls or big blocking pieces for all 3 of your pieces. I think it gives people a bit of investment in the event as well, because that's essential. Like, they're contributing to an essential part of the event, and it saves us time and effort.
And you're running a best terrain award as well, aren't you?
We are, yes. So that was something that was brought in late last year, or this year for this CanCon 2018. We had, because the event grew, we had some extra prize money, and I went, cool, we'll do a best terrain award, and we're continuing that this year. So that's another aspect for people to compete in. So.
Yeah, no, that's great because
Did I actually answer the question?
No, I think it's important to recognize how important it is that, again, going through the experience as a TO, having to create, 9 to 12 pieces of terrain per table limits my ability to scale. There was a lot of calls when CanCon. Clint, was it 150 tickets you initially had, or 180?
150.
So you had 150, and then the community, we saw that pretty quickly, and there were demands that we want more tickets, we want more tickets. And I can imagine that some of that hesitation was, all of a sudden, I had another 20 to 50 tickets, but that's, another 50 tickets is another 150 pieces of terrain. it's more players, it's more administration that you just talked about. So I guess what I'm trying to bring to the forefront is that if we can all do our part, it means that the next CanCon, if we need to go to 300 or however, like 1 million, we're making that job a lot easier by all contributing and not putting the pressure on a guy that is a 13-hour drive from Canberra, and this guy's bringing terrain. So
it's important to mention that pretty much as soon as CanCon started selling this year, as soon as we got that 100 mark, and then obviously the next 50 initial tickets really sold quite quickly. As soon as it started to get there, people were going, our club has this much terrain, you can borrow it for CanCon, that's no problem, we'll keep it. We'll bring it with us. And it's like, brilliant. The measured guys have said you can have X amount of tables, and Tim, you're bringing a couple of tables, and Al, who's one of the Warhammer store managers in Brisbane, he's like, how many pieces of terrain would you like me to make, Clint? He wants to help. I'm sure it's not just him beavering away 24 hours a day to make terrain. And,
shout out to Charles Black, for example, who's been posting on the group.
I would have been in so much trouble had he not gotten mentioned, because he has gone out of his way, and I knew I would forget someone today. Charles Black just went, I'm going to make some extra terrain. Would you like to use it? Yes, Charles. Thank you very much. And because he doesn't have to drive it hours anywhere, he's in Canberra. So that's awesome that he felt like he wanted to make this terrain and is letting us use it. Because he's also using it to run the Lord of the Rings stuff on the Monday and whatnot. But it's awesome. He's been putting progress up in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Australia group. And I look at it and I just go, wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Because I made a bunch of terrain the first year, made a bunch of terrain last year. I'm going to have to make a bunch of terrain this year. So our terrain evolves. And so you'll probably find that there's a lot, the stuff from the first year at CanCon isn't there next year, just because the game's evolved and it was more 8th edition standard terrain the first time. So I'm still making terrain. I don't want people to just think that I'm just taking all these terrain from all these other groups and just bringing along what I had last year. I'm still trying to improve our terrain as well. So, big shout out to anyone who is lending us mats, terrain, any of that sort of stuff. Travis, who is spraying copious amounts of MDF to make it so that we don't play on bloody sheets stretched across MDF, because that's pretty much what CanCon organisers say. You get a piece of MDF, you have to cover it. Here is a box of sheets, and knock yourself out. And it's pretty bad. And we didn't know going into it first year that that's what happens. Second year, Travis did the table toppers. Now he has to do more, which I'm sure he's thrilled about. So that's a huge effort as well. Everybody who's lending us, whether it's one table of terrain or 15 tables and mats and whatever, it's awesome and much appreciated.
Yeah, and it also helps us be more self-sufficient. So I was talking to Chris Welfare today, and Sydney Slaughter and Sydney GT. We're going to be having 2 large events next year that's targeting between 70 to 100 players each. We all need table toppers. We need terrain. So instead of Chris trying to build 50 tables worth of terrain, and I build 50 tables, how together can we build a shared pool of resources, and we all start bringing these pockets of brilliance, and it just helps everybody, and every event is going to have great terrain.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think becoming less reliant on you, Clint, is critical to make us self-sufficient. What happens if one year you don't want to be the TO of CanCon? All of a sudden, we're fucked. So it's risk aversion as well.
Fair enough. I don't think I've announced retirement plans just yet, Anthony, but thanks for
I feel like it's a Julius Caesar moment. Maybe someone's going to stab you in the back and
Hey, good luck to them. Good luck to them. I know how much I stress about CanCon, so they are welcome to that anytime. But once it's dice rolling in round one, and I go, yeah, that's right. This is why I do this, because sometimes I need to remember that feeling when I get other messages angry about rules that I've put in or changes I've made, or, you know, people who buy tickets and then turn around 3 days later and say, oh, well, actually, I don't need my ticket now. Or just nonsense, general nonsense. Yeah. So 2019, we've got the Kiwis coming. It's awesome. 2020, surely we've got to try for bigger international audience. Some Brits, some Americans. Once that's done, maybe then I'll think about retiring.
well, mate, make up some CanCon 2020 tickets. I will spread the word at Adepticon. I will hand out flyers to every table, and let's see what we can
They
do.
could pre-book their tickets 18 months in advance.
You might need to, given how quickly those ones went.
Well, no, it doubles every year, Andrew. So next year it's 440.
Oh, good. Okay.
Haven't you heard? People have been telling me this, that it doubles every year. And I generally give them the finger or swear at them because they aren't people who are running events. So
You'll be pushing all the other events out.
well, that's also been suggested to me that perhaps it needs to go off its own, but I don't think that's going to happen. That's not a thing that's going to happen. It'll always be part of CanCon. It'll always be restricted by them. But there's room for growth. I know exactly how many tables we have in our little section. It's more than we have currently assigned, but other games are starting. I've seen comments on other games message boards about them being cranky if they start getting pushed out.
Yeah, I had mates playing Ancients who got the shits. Well, we better get our tickets, I suppose, otherwise we won't be running. Well, okay.
Yeah, sorry guys. The AOS community is just super keen. Like, some events haven't sold any tickets. Some events have sold 3 of their 60. You know, but I have seen comments on some other game boards. It's like, oh, will TOs be forced to give up spots? Well, no, there's so many spots in CanCon, and it's whoever sells them first. Like, we got screwed the first year. I think we hit 50 people the first year, and I went, cool, can I have 10 more spots? And they're like, yes. And then, like, 2 days later, they're like, it's full now. You can't, like, we're closing off ticket sales. So it's full because the venue capacity. So,
Yeah.
So there's a big major tangent there, but yeah.
So as we wrap up, if there's no other questions to Clint, I would like to hear some personal commitments. What are you going to be working on over the next 2 weeks between streams?
I'll start. Green Knight will be completely done tomorrow. And then in 2 weeks, I've got at least 10 of my 20 bowmen will be done in that point. And I will have done all the airbrush work on my 30 dryads. That's what I'm saying. And two more games as well.
I am currently finding out just how much war paint sucks to paint on models. So the Paladors that I'm painting are taking a lot longer than anticipated. So I might probably be still working on them for a couple of weeks. Just pretty much finished this guy though while we've been sitting here, apart from his saddle and stuff. So we'll see how we go with the war paint on the rest.
Awesome. Sean, what are you working on?
Oh, I'm working on my. Oops. So I've got my Zangor Shaman I'm working on currently. We've got most of his mates coats done. Just need to start doing washes and that. And I've finally got his little saucer-based finish, so I'm happy about that.
Awesome. Travis, what are you working on?
So tonight I couldn't be happy. Finished the table of terrain for Masters. I'll be working on another 2 for next weekend. And then I don't know. Not sure. We'll see how we go.
Slanesh.
No,
sorry. MDF tabletoppers.
I'm not going to do them until after, probably during the Christmas holidays. But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see how we go.
Clint?
Okay, so we got Masters next week, so it'll be Masters prep, admin stuff. But I'll also be working on this terrain here, which is some of the cool 3D printed stuff we got from Dark Fantastic Mills. And I also have the 3D printer at work going flat out on more 3D printed pieces. So, yeah, CanCon terrain and assembling Nighthaunt when I feel like something for a difference. Something has changed. That one.
Awesome. So what am I going to be doing? So I'll be one of the commentators on the Masters stream. So I'm going to be doing a lot of prep, developing like a cheat sheet. I'm going to be doing a lot of my homework. I'm shit scared that I won't be able to fill the 2 days worth of content. So making sure I've got plenty to talk about with Travis.
You know that there's like games happening that you get to talk about, and that fills the time, right? That's yeah, I know. It's not just about you.
Fuck, I've been rehearsing Macbeth.
Clint, you've got this totally back to front. The overhead camera is going to look down on Anthony and I. I never planned on broadcasting the table.
It's bald spot checking, right? Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to work out like my persona, like my commentary persona. Like, am I going to be, like a baddie kind of commentator, like in the wrestling, or am I like the play-by-play guy, or like I'm trying to work out that persona. So,
adopt an awful Italian accent and do it in that hat.
Could do that.
It's him, Scarbrand.
It's me, Scarbrand. I'm going to hit you with the axe. What else? I'm going to continue working on the grots. I've been edge highlighting and been doing some fanatics. What else? Oh, something else I want to try out is I think this week I'm going to put my CanCon army through the Honest Wargamers workbook. I want to go through the iteration and see how it stacks up against that document. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the Honest Wargamer on their website. They've got some cool resources, and one is a great document, like a workbook.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, I got
developed feedback.
That's you, Andrew.
All right. Is that Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
You got a bunch of feedback through yours.
I was going to mute Andrew. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
All falling apart.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah,
I've just muted Andrew just because of the feedback. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you very much. Clint, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for everyone who jumped on the stream. Guys, last piece of feedback or anything, do you guys want to give a shout out? Where can people find you for your next, if they want to have a conversation with you? Clint, where can we find you?
On Twitter, at Heralds of War, the Heralds of War Facebook page. We have there. Shoot me a message there if you've got anything CanCon related. Or email us on Heralds of War, podcast at Heralds of War. That's it. Listen to us. I just put up a new episode today where Travis talks to James Lynch, who's a Brisbane-based painter who has some amazing sort of cream bone-coloured corn. It's a really good episode. Then you've got the Herald's Twitch channel, which will be running next weekend. I don't think there's a Herald's radio network or anything else. Herald's, no faxes going out. No Herald's hotlines. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Tim, do you do anything that people should be looking into?
I certainly do. All my hobby stuff is on Twitter at Aussie Wargamer, and I also have a little YouTube thing going on, also the Aussie Wargamer on YouTube. CanCon stuff every Saturday.
Awesome. Travis?
So you can find me on Twitter. I'm just going to go look up my thing. Tonius83 is me. And that's about it. And yeah.
Andrew, shout out. Do you want to unmute yourself? Where can we find you?
Yeah, on Twitter, Lord of Tuatha at L Tuatha. I also put stuff on a Facebook page, 1 hour a night hobby challenge. So either of them.
Awesome. And you know, you guys know where to find me at Anthony Magro on Twitter, and I'm hoping you've subscribed to this channel already. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for all your time. I look forward to catching up with you guys again soon. And peace out. I'm going to bed. Enough hobby for one day.
Fair enough.
Thanks, guys.
See you, everyone.
See ya.